So how do you help others? Were you doing this before, or is this something new with the new Elijah?
Honestly, the new me, I couldn't tell you. I help everyone from the janitor, and this is honest truth, to the higher up, the GM of the store. I would do anything. I would park cars. I would put gas in the car. I would, do anything that is needed at that time. I'm not below it. When Jesus served, he served everyone. There's no restriction to it. So what difference does it make for me? No matter if I'm a top executive or a bottom level person, if someone needs me, I'm going to be there for them.
Hey everybody, welcome again to the Today Counts show. Man, I am so excited about this podcast. That's not an exaggeration. I had a Zoom interview with two people not that long ago, and I was thinking to myself, dang, this should be a podcast. So now we're making it a podcast. I want to introduce to you two people, Elijah, I already forgot how to pronounce it,
Camara, yes, sir.
Camara.
You're there. You're there.
Close. Elijah. Okay, and then Carrie Esker. And as I understand it, obviously you guys have become friends, but this podcast is going to be about a lot of things like life change, coaching, performance, potential, believing. We're going to be hitting on those things, but this is a real life, boots on the ground, incredible story that you just got to hear. So let's start with this, you guys. How did you guys meet? How did this coach-coachee relationship even begin? Who's going to take it?
Carrie, I'll leave it up to you, but I do want to say we're more than friends, we're family. She's kind of adopted me by now.
Wow.
So I think I should go on record and let everyone know that.
And Carrie, before you say something, I should probably set something else up also, which I forgot to do. Elijah, you currently work for Great Lakes Auto Group. You're a platform manager. So you're one of those dirty, rotten guys that sells cars, right? So we're going to talk about that. All right. And your boss believes in coaching, met Carrie, and Carrie, that's the story I want you to start with. How did you meet Elijah's boss? And then tell me, how did this relationship start?
Okay. First of all, thank you. I am so privileged to be here today. And I'm literally so excited. I know Elijah is too. So Joey Wong is the founder and president of Great Lakes Auto Group. And there's a local Honda dealership near us. My husband and I were looking to buy a car. And actually, we had a few issues in the process with the dealership. So I had called Joey Wong to share with him my experience. And he returned my call. I left a message, and we ended up spending well over an hour on the phone that evening. And
wow, that's kind of a miracle by itself. Yeah.
Right there. And I was intrigued with his professionalism, with his concern, with his empathy for the situation. And I think he was a little intrigued. Speaking to me, he said, "What do you do? I'd love to meet you." And a few weeks later, I met Joey Wong, and we sat down. I told him that part of what I did at that time was coaching. And he said, "I'd love you to work with some of our people." I believe following that, Elijah was one of the first couple assignments he gave me. And he said, "I have this young man and I see potential. Would you meet with him? Let's see what happens." So there we go, Elijah. I'm going to pass it over to you now. So I'm not sure how you found out about me, but you maybe can introduce those first couple meetings and how we got rolling.
Absolutely. Again, Jim, thank you for having us here. This is a huge opportunity to express our story and to talk about this coaching dynamic that me and Carrie have. So I'm going to explain to you how things worked out, because to be honest, I was a totally different person back then, and my perspective has changed since then. So they come up to me and they said, "Hey, Elijah, we want you to meet with this lady here at Starbucks, 8 a.m. sharp, just show up." They didn't give me any detail. I'm like, man, am I getting fired or what's going on? So I show up, and here's this lady. She's sitting there by herself, and I walk up, and the first question she asks me is, she says, "What is your story?" And I look at her. I remember this vividly, and I said, "What story? I've never really had a story." But then she started to uncover things, and then we went ahead and the conversation started. Carrie, do you remember my face when you asked me what my story was?
Oh, I'll never forget it. I remember the booth right now. I can see exactly where we were. And a few minutes later, you even started to sweat. I was like, "Elijah, it's okay."
Yeah.
Just want to get to know you, right?
Now, where was this? Where did this actually happen? What city, what state?
So it's in Akron, Ohio, actually.
Okay.
So I myself played football at the University of Akron, was a Division I athlete, graduated, started selling cars. And yeah, we met in Akron, Little Akron, Ohio, where LeBron James is from. For those who don't know.
Who's that? I've never heard of him. Carrie, is that where you live, in that area?
Yes, I'm also in that area.
Okay. And Elijah, where are you at today physically?
So right now I'm actually at one of our stores that we've just acquired here in Syracuse, New York, at a Honda store. Yeah. Okay. So we call ourselves Great Lakes Honda City. Okay.
Mm-hmm. So Joey, the owner, saw potential in you, but he obviously saw a gap and did some matchmaking with this irate customer that he had, and somehow got her to say, "Well, why don't you be part of the answer instead of part of the problem?" So it sounds like we have a bit of a mastermind behind the scenes here in this owner, Joey. Am I wrong?
You're not wrong at all. Me and Carrie talk about it all the time. When you see me and Carrie and how we interact, it just doesn't make sense. And I want to tie this into the Lord, because even where I'm at right now, if you see me and the people I talk to, you have to give the glory to the Lord. And honestly, that's me and Carrie's relationship. We're just two peas in a pot, honestly.
Okay. Well, let's back up. Let's pack up this truck. Yep. Okay. So Carrie asked you, "What is your story?" What is your story?
So my story starts back in West Africa, Guinea, Conakry. So I grew up there. My mom and dad was also there. So I came back when I was in 5th grade, but when I was in Africa, I just remember just the little things as far as going to the well to get my water, electricity not working. So I didn't grow up with much. But when I came back to the U.S., my sister actually raised me down in Columbus, Ohio. So I spent time with her there, went to high school in Reynoldsburg High School, and then I went on to play football at a junior college. The reason why I went to junior college is, again, I wasn't the best person back in the day. I'm just going to be honest. I had a 1.9 GPA, and I had all these stars. You know those kids where they had all the talent, but, they're like, "Oh, I'm going to make it to the NFL just because I'm good." That was me. So, I ended up going to junior college. I had 2 years there, was committed to the University of Illinois, but the coaching staff got fired, and I ended up going to Akron. So I was kind of hurt and broken by going to Akron, because honestly, we're talking Big Ten versus the MAC. It kind of troubled me a little bit, but now that I look back at things, it couldn't have gone any better.
Why is that?
Just because the people I've met and what it's made of me. When I was going through the recruiting process, one thing I realized is I became very grandiose. I thought I was on top of the world. No one could tell me anything. I was this jock who, everyone loved and bring attention to the room. And then I got humbled by going to Akron. You stop getting the same attention from people. People stopped looking at you in that same light. So then I realized the work should never stop. And I kind of lost that dream of playing big time. So now in my new career, rent is due every day, and I kind of just show up all the time.
So did you play all 4 years in college?
So I played 2 years in junior college, and I also played 2 years at University of Akron.
Okay, and so when did your hopes for the NFL? When did that fade?
Honestly, it faded at my senior year at Akron when I realized I didn't love it and I wasn't putting in the true work that needed to be made to be successful in anything. I kind of realized I wasn't built for that. You know, I was believing in lies that kind of held me hostage my whole life, where I wasn't smart enough, I wasn't good enough. So I was trapped in just myself, you know. So that's when it kind of faded away, just not knowing who I truly am at the time. I was just a surface level guy, if that makes sense.
So that's great. So how did you end up working for the dealership?
It's a funny question. It's funny here. So I actually known a guy. So there's a guy who did our academics at the University of Akron. He knew the inventory manager at Great Lakes, and I needed a car at the time. So he told me, hey, just go down there, buy your car. They'll take care of you. Everything will be fine. So I walked in to the dealership, bought a car, met a great salesman there. And he kind of told me of the life of a salesperson and the potential earnings you could get. And I'm a guy getting off of college. People who don't know, when you're on scholarship and you graduate, everything is cut off. You're basically on your own. It's like no one even knows you anymore. It's like you're a ghost. So my biggest thing is I wanted to actually make sure that I could be stable, you know, in the future. So I just decided to start selling cars. I remember the phone call like it was yesterday. I called my sister and told her what I was doing, and she was not happy. She was not happy with all that I was selling cars. But I just told her, hey.
It's probably because she had to buy a car at one point or another, right?
Yeah, it's not the best place to go. It's up there with going to the dentist. I would say that.
Well, all right, so let's go back to the Starbucks where the two of you met. So, Carrie, what did you see in this young man, and how long ago was that?
Gosh, so I believe it was about 4 years ago, Elijah.
Yep, 4 years.
Okay, 4 years ago. Wow. I remember distinctly when we were done, I walked away and I said, gosh, I heard that story he just shared with you, maybe a little bit more. And I said, look at this young man. Look what he has done with what some may perceive as being very little opportunity in some ways, right? Not a lot of structure, not a lot of, you know, community
support.
Guidance,
Yeah.
like without, right? And I'm like, if he has made it this far, the potential is just through the roof. I was so inspired. And another part of the story, it's funny, you didn't say it, Elijah, but I remember when you told me, literally, wasn't it the day after you graduated, or what was it? Some bus trip? I mean, you literally went right to Great Lakes.
Literally, we got off the bus after our bowl game, and I started that next week. Yep, that next week. It was right away.
Okay, so you guys get into a formal coaching relationship. And then Elijah, last time we talked, you kind of went into some of the things that you had experienced through that process, the things you started believing, the transformation that began to happen. Why don't you talk a little bit about that? What are the things that you learned that you are practicing today? What are some of just a little bit more of that experience?
Carrie, is it okay to let your secrets out to the public?
Oh, I suppose a few of them. Go ahead.
Okay, so I'm going to start off actually with my favorite one. This one I use daily in every circumstance. So just to give an outline on what I've learned is working with Carrie. Whenever there's a circumstance that's negative, it is an opportunity to show who you are as a person. It's actually a launching pad. So when there's an attack coming at you, just know that attack is literally going to push you forward. So if you attack it and you look at it the right way. Now, I'm going to dive into this model that Carrie taught me, and it goes like this. First letter, it's CTFAR. It's actually an acronym. And I'll explain each letter and what it means. So C actually stands for circumstance. F stands for, so C stands for, sorry about that. C stands for circumstance. T is thoughts. F is feelings. A is actions, the actions that, might happen from, how you're feeling. And R is the results from whatever you just acted. Now, when there's a negative circumstance, what most people do is they go from the circumstance right to the feelings. They skip that T. And working with Carrie, we really worked on mental dumps. I mean, Carrie, how many times would I call you just ready to hop off a cliff and something happened to me? How many times was that?
Many. There was many. So just to insert, I tell my clients, I tell all my Great Lakes clients, coaches, if something comes up, try to reach me. If I can have 10 minutes, I will help you walk through it. So Elijah, he utilized that, and he would call me and I'd say, dump it out. Let's go. Get it all out. Get the emotional part out. Okay. Now let's go back. What are the facts? Okay. What thoughts are you now applying? What were you applying and everything you dumped to those facts? Okay. And why do you think you're feeling how you're feeling? Look at the thoughts. And then we realize we can change those thoughts. So lots of reframing. Lots.
And then I don't mean to cut you off, Carrie, because this is probably brilliant. Everyone that I've told this model to, an acronym to, they've kind of had shivers because it makes sense and it's simple. We skip from C, circumstances, and go right to our feelings. But when you actually filter it through the thoughts, it allows you to just take a step back and see what's going on in front of you and attack it the right way. And once we've been doing that so many times, we've kind of started keeping record of all these bumps in the roads that we've kind of overcame. Me and Carrie, we've came up with a cake, right? I mean, this cake is probably filled by now.
So the cake represents celebrating. So that's the party, like reframing it, like, this is awesome. Like what you called me with, you thought it was the end of the world. Look at this. It's an opportunity. I mean, we need to celebrate this. You get to now show who you are. Maybe you made a mistake. Maybe you did something, quote unquote, stupid, right?
Yep, okay. Absolutely.
Let's reframe that. Let's do something with it.
Let's
celebrate it.
Now, Jim, is all of this making sense with the CTFAR and the cake and all? Is that kind of making sense for you a little bit?
I can't do the cake. When you're my age, if you look at cake, you gain 3 pounds. I can't do the cake. Okay. I'm okay with the rest. Everything else sounds good. So what were some of these things, Elijah, that you were struggling with?
Honestly, my response in the moment to things where, coming in a sales environment, the dealership where everyone loves to go, it's a competitive world, and it's tough. People talk to you in ways that are disrespectful, and you might not understand why that person is talking to you that way. I had a specific person that was over me that kind of challenged me in this way, and me and Carrie would talk this over all the time. We don't know who that person is. Look at him as a little boy. What did he go through? How was that? Have some empathy. When you look at it that way, you kind of have empathy in people, and you realize that, A, we're not all perfect, and there's a reason they believe this way or feel this way or act in this manner. So that's honestly, just learning how to have empathy towards people and
like you said, filter these events through your thinking, right?
Absolutely.
So you also told me last time we got to talk that you are now a follower of Christ, but prior to that, you were a Muslim. Were you a practicing Muslim? And how did that conversion happen?
Yes, I was a practicing Muslim. I remember Carrie can talk about this as well. And she would, one thing I loved about Carrie, she never really pushed Christianity onto me, but it was more of, do you believe in good and evil? Do you, just simple questions. Now, what really helped me to refrain from this, because it's hard to really explain God and what he's done for you, kind of reveals himself to you. And right now, as I'm sitting, is just a manifestation on what happened. But I was a practicing Muslim. Both parents are Muslim. We're from Africa. They're still Muslim. And I'm still dealing with this journey here, and I'm blessed to see this light. So honestly, I was always deep into philosophy. That kind of always intrigued me when I was younger. I've always wanted to get to the bottom of things and find out the truth. And I remember going to church with Carrie one Sunday, and just they were going over Genesis, just the beginning of time. And honestly, when they said when they ate the apple of all knowing, all knowledge, and God came out and asked for Adam and Eve to come out, and they were ashamed, and they said they were naked. And God asked the question, who told you were naked? That kind of hit me, because we all feel as if we know better. And I've always had a problem with submitting, and actually knowing where that came from and why I have that issue and why I have that disease. It all just hit me. And just the people that were coming after me, the signs that the Lord was showing me. I mean, honestly, I've had a pretty crazy life. And the only way the Lord can come to you is coming at your level. And he came at me in a crazy way. Carrie, could you tell them about the prayer group and all of that? It was just honestly crazy. It was so overwhelming. I had to give in. It's literally, he came out, knocked on my door and said, Elijah, I'm here and I'm real. And I said, okay, perfect. Here I come. I'm leaving everything behind. I'm following you.
And how has that impacted you today, your daily life? How do you integrate your faith into your daily life now?
It's a great question, Jim. I'm a server. And once I've let go of my ego and pride to want things and to exalt myself and switched over to serving, everything that I've ever quote unquote wanted started to come. And it's now that I'm in a position I'm in now, it's responsibility to be fruitful to those who aren't there yet. So I've kind of took a step back, and me and Carrie, you tell me all the time, who's my real boss? Joey is my boss, but who is my real boss? Mm-hmm. Am I walking in faith? Am I doing the things I'm supposed to do? So honestly, I've just been a server, if that makes sense. Just doing anything I can to make someone's life easier and to accept everyone for who they are and just fully love on them.
When you walked into Great Lakes and they gave you a shot, what was your first job?
I was a salesperson.
Oh, you went right into sales. Okay.
Right into sales. Yep. First month, I think I sold 28 cars. First month.
Wow. Yep. That's good, right?
Yeah, it's all right. It's okay.
That's
I wasn't a salesperson like Carrie, but it was okay.
Okay. And today you're a platform manager, and they kind of move you around in bringing and setting up and bringing quality customer service. What is it that the platform manager does? What do you do specifically now?
Good question. So what I do now is I help assist the startup dealership, because honestly, in any business, when the new company takes over, everyone's scared. Mm-hmm. Everyone's running around. They're wondering what's happening next. So I come in and I kind of settle the noise. Say, you guys are okay. You guys are fine. We're gonna take good care of you for one, but we're also gonna make sure we sell a lot more cars than we did in the past. And obviously, the technical stuff, just implementing processes that they've never done before and giving them resources and support that they've never had before as well. Because when we start up a new store, you're getting help from all of the rest of the group. So when we acquire a new store and we acquire another store, it's like a big family. So it's just this big force of people that's there to support you. If that makes any sense.
Yeah, it does. It sounds like a very important role. So you then went from, correct me if I'm wrong, commission to salary?
Yeah. So basically I'm salary now. It's kind of salary / commission. I get paid based on how well the store is doing.
Okay. So you get an override on that. That's great. You also told me last time we talked that you have a special honor that's been given to you recently. Tell us about what that is in regards to they're sending you away. That hasn't happened yet, right? You're going.
Yep. Actually starts class in August.
Okay.
They're actually sending me to NADA, which is the National Dealers Association. And it's GM school. Basically, they teach you everything that has to do with running and functioning a dealership, from selling parts, from the service department, from the accounting, from the office, the sales, the marketing, everything. It is a huge opportunity. It's a huge investment from the dealership to actually do that and to trust, I'm just going to say it, a young African-American that's 27 to put all this trust in. And honestly, Jim, to be honest with you, like the Lord works in so many crazy ways. I would never imagine myself to be here. Carrie, I mean, am I wrong or what do you think? This was never planned, right?
No, this wasn't planned, but I do want to say, and I want the audience as well to hear that Elijah worked very hard at this. I mean, this was not just a completely natural, organic unfolding. He was diligent and persevered. And again, Joey saw his growth, right? He saw the transformation, the change, the desire. And I think you being selected for this, I mean, it's in the auto industry, right? This is remarkable. Remarkable. It's like, I don't know, PhD. I'm not sure, but
it's basically the PhD. Honestly, right. In the auto world, it's everyone who is something in the business now have gone through this training, and it is expensive and it is intensive and it's a week and the homework is long, and it's a big accomplishment. I have to give the glory to the Lord, honestly. Seriously,
I mean, it's clearly a management training program that has been extended to you. Let's talk about now. I'm sure you have struggles, each and every day, but you mentioned, you keep asking yourself and trying to answer the question, how are you helping others? So how do you help others? It sounds like were you doing this before, or is this something new with the new Elijah? And explain that. I'm interested in that.
It's a good one, Elijah. Don't miss it.
Good one. Carrie, what's the first thing I'm going to answer your question, Jim. Carrie, what's the first thing I told you when you asked me how are you in the workforce and what do you do every day? What did I tell you back then, 4 years ago?
Oh my goodness. You should really be the one to say it. He's like, yeah, I just kind of show up and I tell people delegate and they do stuff and, I just make things happen.
Yep, I just do stuff. I make stuff happen. I come in for the kill. They do all the leg work, and I come in, I close the deal, and that's
What done. Did I say? Elijah, what did I say when you told me that?
How's that working for you? Every time I do, how's that working for you? But honestly, the new me, I couldn't tell you. I help everyone from the janitor, and this is honest truth, to the higher up, the GM of the store. I would do anything. I would park cars. I would put gas in the car. I would, do anything that is needed at that time. I'm not below it. When Jesus served, he served everyone. There's no restriction to it. So what difference does it make for me? No matter if I'm a top executive or a bottom level person, if someone needs me, I'm going to be there for them. So when I told you I don't know my position, I don't know my position. I could do anything at any time. And honestly, with the help of Carrie and just watching out for the people that, quote unquote, don't have a huge title, it goes a long way. After I leave a store, what really impacts me is when the janitors and the porters, when a porter is the guys that wash the cars, when they're hurt and when they're sad that I'm leaving. Like, that's what I look for. Like, that's what means the most to me. And every time I come and visit a store, I come in through the back where those guys are. And I don't go right to the management staff and the salespeople. People don't understand. It's the people at the bottom that who matters the most, because I was that guy. I didn't think I would be here. I'm the same person, in a sense. Like, you don't change your attitude because you have this title and you're in this position. You're still a servant, at the end of the day, to push the needle forward for the next person beside you. I've just accumulated a lot of knowledge, built a lot of strength to withhold pressure. And I want to go to the fire first. That's the difference between me and someone down there. I mean, that's honestly the only difference.
I think you just said something that was pretty insightful. Holding pressure. Another way of saying that is you're growing in your self-awareness, which isn't simply about awareness, but it's also about what do I do with what I'm feeling. And you kind of talked about that earlier. If you were coaching another person that kind of reminded you of you, how would you try to encourage that person today? What would be the things that you would try to help them understand and practice?
First, I would let them know what's really going on. I believe us as a society and humans, we don't know the true battle that's happening. Battle between good and evil. And to know that it's not your fight. And to know you're just there to stand and just keep that armor on. So I would just teach them that, knowing exactly what's going on. There's a fight going on for you in your soul that will never end. But at the end of the day, the good will win. No matter if you go left, you get steered back to the right. You just have to go through a lot more pain to get back to the right, but you always end up right. Let's minimize that pain. You don't have to go through that pain. You can just stay right, stay in the yoke. As you said in one of your talks, the yokes of Jesus and the Lord, it's easy. His burden is light. So when you stay on that path, you're going to win anyways. You will win anyways. You'll get where you need to go. But let's minimize the enemy's attack. Let's minimize the hurt you have to feel. Carrie always told me, and I'll teach them this as well, is you won't change until the pain of staying the same you won't change until the pain of staying the same is greater than the actual change. Basically, when you're fed up, like, I hate it here. Right. So and that goes back to what I said before. Understand the battle. Don't get sucked into it. Don't listen to the lies. Know there's a fight going on for you, and stay right, because you're going to go right anyways. Just don't take the long way. Let's take this shortcut. If that makes sense. Yeah,
it does. So this question is for both of you, and you can ping pong it if you want. In other words, you can share something but it comes from an observation that I've had over the last 2 decades, that the difference between effective leadership and otherwise is that effective leaders have actually done the mental work of thinking through and identifying their convictions. And as they have convictions, they begin to whittle those into values. And those values then determine purpose. They determine priorities. My question to you is, what convictions, Carrie, do you bring in with you in a coaching relationship? Elijah, what convictions have you formed so far in your journey? What are some of those convictions? If you don't mind, I will share a few of mine. I try to keep mine to 10, not because I only have 10, but they're meant to be pondered and to meditate on. Here's one of mine. Holistic health determines my ability to perform and help others. Family is my most important investment and responsibility. A faith-filled and positive attitude provides supernatural energy and creativity. Living according to my design is where I will experience both joy and success. Financial health provides opportunities to enjoy and serve. Leadership is always about seeking and acting upon what is right, regardless of the cost. I believe the grace of God is indescribable and beyond comprehension. I am called to honor everyone, even those I do not agree with or respect. My words matter. I mean, those are examples. And then from there, I shape, my values that I memorize and that I self-evaluate on. In your development as a coach and as a young leader, what are some of the convictions off the top of your head that you're holding on to, and they're beginning to direct and shape you as an individual? That's a heavy question, I know.
Yeah. I can start with a few. We can go back and forth.
Sure.
I a few of mine I just jotted quickly here. One is we rise by lifting others up.
Yeah.
That's a big one for me. So, and I think that also a little bit when we talked, and Elijah, you used the word strength and strengthen. But there was quite a journey from the Elijah I met the first time there. And as we said, the one sitting here today, and he has strengthened a lot of muscles. One of them, and we did exercises with it, Elijah, like blessing people. I don't know that I called it that, right? But unexpectedly, recognizing everyone in the dealership, making sure that we greet people by their names, right? That you do know the porters. So lots, I just wanted to, again, getting that, and it doesn't have to be, my worldview is Christian, right? But all of this can be taught. And Elijah, 2-3 years, we didn't talk about religion or Christianity at all, because I think all of it is all the same. It's the same playing field. You could just use different words, right? Everything is fixable. So he calls me and it's catastrophic, right? Elijah, everything is fixable. Let's just first get it out, get the emotions part out, get the mindset, shifted and pivoted. Let's reframe this, and everything's okay. Everything's okay, which is another one. Sometimes I think people just need to be heard. They need someone to intensely and intently listen to them, that is skilled and can pull out the important parts. And that changes everything. People want to be heard. The obstacle is the path. Elijah has touched on that. Celebrating the bumps, the obstacles. One for me personally is, the facts of our story are the facts of our story. My story, your story, Jim, Elijah's. There's things we can't change, okay? The good, the bad, and the ugly. However, we can, and we have the ability and power to place the interpretation on that story. We get to design it. And the story, the facts are the same, but we get to change it and reframe it.
It's the raw material that we can use, right?
So it can, as you've said, Jim, Does the conditioning, does the story, do some of those things, do they make you bitter or better? And I believe very deeply they can make you better. No matter what the story is, they can make you better. I could keep going, but go ahead, Elijah. I love that.
Man, it's like you took everything I had it written down here. It's okay. I've gotten all my convictions, most of them from Carrie. She's taught a lot of it to me, especially the one that we rise by lifting up others. There's one that was so great. I actually made you a coffee mug. It says, "We is greater than me." It's literally the word "we" with the, the alligator showing it's greater than, the me. That is huge. And we also talked a lot about the platform. You should be on a platform with your people instead of a pedestal. You know what I mean by pedestal is first place, second place, third place. We don't want that. We rise and we show, who we are by showing the people in the community that we have. That is a huge conviction of mine, is building a strong family and team around me to help me and look out for the blind spots that I have. I feel like we all have blind spots, and you only get exposed to those blind spots if you have beautiful people that you can trust and that are, even if they're not religious, we all know people who have God living in them, just them as a pure person. So that we rise by lifting others, we is greater than me. A conviction I have is just overcoming. I have a sister that came to this country, not from here. Started braiding in her basement with no clientele. We struggled. I lived in a 1-bedroom apartment just so I can, go to a good school, and I lived on a couch. And just seeing her grow and grow and grow and never making excuses. She got knocked down so many times. It's not funny. She kept standing. So, and now I'm just going to speed it up. She lives in one of the best neighborhoods in Ohio, and there's $1 million homes around her because of her believing and because of how she persevered. That's a conviction of mine. Just eliminating the victim mindset and just knowing that no matter what you go through, you can make it out. And honestly, another thing is, just believe, like Carrie said. I work diligently. One thing I can say about our relationship between me and Carrie, she helped bring out treasures in me that was there, that was locked up and chained up by the lies I told myself. It was chained up by I'm not smart. It was chained up that I'm not good enough. It was chained up by all these things people tell you when you're growing up. You don't think it's toxic, but it really is. You believe this stuff and you start to act in that manner. She told me, no, Elijah, that's not who you are. You are disciplined. You are this. You are that. So that's another conviction of mine, is bringing that out of people. Those lies we tell ourselves when we're younger, they mean a lot. And you don't know how much they're affecting you until, honestly, it's too late.
Right, which also feeds into another conviction of mine that we talked about a lot, and I think it applies to everybody, which is fear. Living in fear, false evidence appearing real. What are we afraid of? Did we make this up in our imagination? Is it even real? Is it a lie someone told us? So we worked through a lot of things talking about, well, wait a minute, what is your fear? What are you concerned about? What is the block, right?
Yep, exactly.
So what is the relationship like today? Do you still have a formal coaching relationship? Obviously you're friends. What is the current relationship?
So I would say I consider Elijah a dear friend of mine and of my family, but we definitely have very serious coaching sessions still, correct? We had one this weekend.
How often do you talk? I shouldn't say that. How often do you have sessions?
I'd say weekly.
Yeah, I would say weekly. I actually used to, when I lived in Findlay, Ohio, that was 2 hours from Cleveland. I used to drive up every Sunday to get a session.
What? Really?
Yeah. Yep.
You would drive I want my clients to hear that. You would drive 2 hours to get in a session. So that's a 4-hour round trip.
Yeah.
Yes. Let's just pause here. Like, let's just really stop and think about this. Okay. 25 years old at the time, 26, driving 2 hours on a Sunday. This is kind of where the church thing came in. I think it was like you were coming Sunday anyways. It just kind of organically. If you want to, if you come, you want to just go with us to church and have brunch
I'm not going to, this ties in with the conversion, and sorry to cut you off because I don't want to lose this thought. What happened was I went to one church session with Carrie, and the pastor at the end said, I just want to challenge you guys. If you're investigating Jesus, come to these next sermons that we're having. I challenge you. And Jim, as an athlete, you get challenged. I mean, you got to do it, right? I put my helmet on. I'm like, okay, don't challenge me, buddy.
Let's do it.
I'm going to show up. So I started driving 2 hours, and they started in Genesis, and I was actually really investigating the Lord and going for that and getting coaching. So, yeah, it was very intense. For at least for a year, it was a point where I was driving 2 hours because they moved me to another store to help get that going. And I couldn't stop what I was learning. I was seeing, there's things piling up on that cake that we've slayed. And I was just addicted to honestly learning and understand myself and what's really going on. So it got really serious.
Well, you guys, this has been fantastic. I have one more question that I want to put in front of you, Elijah. What are you believing for your future?
Honestly, that's a great question, Jim. What I'm believing in my future is that I would serve more people. More people than I have now. They say God watches what you do with the few to see if you can handle more. I just want to continue to serve at a greater scale outside of myself. That is my purpose. That is what I see.
I said that was my last question, but I have another one. So, just in a humble moment, where would you be today, do you think, if Joey didn't set up coaching with you and Carrie? Do you think you'd be doing all right? Do you think you'd be what do you think?
I would be, in all honesty, I would be a surface level person, and there's nothing wrong with that. I'll just be going through life not knowing what's really happening, because there's a battle, there's a journey, there's a path that is actually there that I wish everyone could see. They just, unfortunately, they haven't ran into the right people or the right person to help show them that road. And that's the walk in Christ, and that's the walk in faith. And if I didn't meet Joey, if I didn't meet Carrie, I would continue to just be, a surface level, reacting to everything, not really knowing, and confused person.
Yeah. I was thinking trying to do everything on your own. Where a lot of people find themselves. Well, Elijah and Carrie, this did not disappoint. I just enjoy hearing people break down obstacles, work through things, and grow. And it has been an honor having you on the Today Counts show. Thank you so much.
Jim, thank you so much.
Thank you, Jim. We appreciate it. Thank you so much.